Welcome. In recent years, Nigeria's aviation sector has faced several challenges, from rising operational costs to inconsistent government policies. Despite these, opportunities for growth and sustainability still exist.
Absolutely, Memuna. Nigeria's aviation industry plays a crucial role in connecting people, businesses, goods and services. Issues like high maintenance, fuel shortages and infrastructural deficits continues to threaten this aviation sector.
Hello and welcome to the Good Morning Africa show. Today we focus on Nigerian airlines, challenges, opportunities, and the path to sustainability. I am Memuna Bagudu, and with me is Obong. Glad to have you this morning. Today we're actually talking about aviation matters. I love the fact that because it's long overdue.
Thank you so much, Memuna.
You're welcome.
I'm excited to be on the show. Aviation is one sector that can improve our economy because aviation connects people. Aviation brings families together. Your husband that is in Kaduna can come to Abuja to visit you.
Are you sure my husband is in Kaduna?
I didn't say it was. That's what aviation can do. Thank you so much, beautiful people. I'm delighted to be on the show. And my name is Ubong Osoro. So we have the next 1 hour to inform, educate, and entertain you. Stay with us as we navigate Nigeria's aviation industry.
Lined up for you are insightful futures and discussions brought to you by Housing TV Africa, your first source for housing news. Now, Nigeria's aviation industry has seen ups and downs. Airlines like Arik Air, Air Peace and Ibom Air are shaping the landscape. But issues like fluctuating fuel prices, foreign exchange rates and regulatory policies hinder progress.
I couldn't agree less. You know, growing up, I remember that I was so fascinated with aircraft. Anytime I see aircraft pass, maybe all of us did it.
We all did. We all did love that. It was really nostalgic.
Airplane is passing. And it's sad that some of the airlines we grew up knowing as children, we can't find them again today.
True.
Airlines like Bellevue, airlines like Concorde Airlines have run out of business. And this could be said to be largely due to mismanagement and maybe financial struggles. We know how the country is.
True that. You know, talking about the aviation sector, the sector is really, really wide. And then there are a whole lot of challenges facing that sector. When we talk about mismanagement of funds, because I love the fact that you made mention of, you know, past airlines that were into business in Nigeria, and even, you know, government-owned airlines that are no longer in business. Why? Because we have a whole lot of issues, you know, that actually attacked them or made them to leave the aviation business. Talking about mismanagement, talking about finances, you know, talking about a whole lot, and then talking about not being able to keep up with the, should I call it market trends, or, you know, a whole lot of issues. And we cannot talk about aviation issues without talking about cancellation of flights, rescheduling of flights. Those issues can be very, very frustrating, most especially for business owners. Not even business owners, you know, everybody traveling must have had their whole calculation down. I want to leave. I booked the flight, so I know the reason why I booked a flight for morning. So you should not be, you know, rescheduling my flight for afternoon or for the evening, because that is not the time I want to fly.
You know, there's this day that I was really very angry because during the festive period, I had some people coming to visit. And I was supposed to leave on a Saturday, so they could make an appointment on a Monday. Saturday evening, the flight was cancelled. Sunday morning, 10 a.m. flight was cancelled. 2 p.m. flight was cancelled, 6 p.m. flight was cancelled. You don't do that, and these are issues that we face in the aviation sector. You know, I understand that they also have excuses, because some of these people can't afford to buy the tickets again. So you get there to see that a flight that is supposed to carry maybe 50, 60 persons, only 3 persons bought the tickets, and the airline can't fly. You know, maybe these are some of the issues, but ultimately we'll have somebody that will help us. But there are lots of issues we need to talk about. Airlines leaving businesses, airlines cancelling flights. The prices of tickets are also something. How many of us common Nigerians, the government says that 70,000 is minimum wage. But a minimum wage cannot
even get you a flight ticket. Okay, so I don't want to name names. Okay, so it doesn't look like we're placing an advert for airlines. But, you know, it's a very good thing that you're bringing in the minimum wage, which is, of course, 70,000 naira. There's a particular airline you can travel for on a Tuesday with 92,000 naira. So just imagine, your 70,000 naira minimum wage cannot even get you a flight ticket on the lowest, you know, airline. So it's really worrisome. Is it that at some particular time, airlines will be made for people that are, you know, the elite class, you know, people that can actually offer the rich? So you mean poor people can no longer take flights to their village on Christmas Day, or, you know, they want to have a wedding ceremony with their family? So these issues are very, very worrisome, and I really hope that today on the show would have a very interesting conversation and see the possible solutions in which these issues can be tackled.
Yes, truly, Memuna, I really agree with you, because the numbers of people flying going down every day. Most Nigerians, average Nigerians, who are in their millions, we are more than 200 million people, and trust me, so many Nigerians can't even afford to fly, and the roads are not good. You know, if you are going on the road, somebody said maybe you need to write your will for some long journeys, kidnapping every day. We hear this on the news journey. So there are lots of issues, and we have to talk about. Yes, the government has done some very good investment in the aviation sector, but we need to look at the pricing. Like you mentioned, flight cancellation. There should be consequences. This is a business.
Regulation. You know, I feel there's no, you know, there's no right body to regulate the aviation system, because who does that? I have actually gotten a flight for morning, 9 o'clock flight. That flight never took off till 9 p.m. And then in my head, I was wondering, I was like, okay, so if I was really into business, and this business is worth millions or billions of naira, I'm going to just miss that opportunity and never get that money. Exactly. So, and then the most annoying part of it all is sometimes they don't even make proper announcements. So like, oh, sorry, your flight has... I know few airlines that will not even alert you. They won't send you emails, they won't send you text messages. I've been in the airport where a lady was almost screaming her lungs out.
You could imagine if
someone... You know, because she had a professional exams to write that morning. And it's like all her world just came crumbling. She was on top of her voice, she was screaming, and she said the most annoying part is that no one is talking to anybody, no explanation from anybody, nobody is sending mails, you know. So these are things that, you know, we really, really need to hammer on. Regulation, because if there's no proper regulation, a lot of sectors will misbehave, a lot of things will go wrong, and that's why we have regulations there. So I really hope that would explore all the possible opportunities to see how we can come about the solutions facing the aviation sector in Nigeria. So we'll explore these issues with an aviation expert and an airline executive who has first-hand industry experience. Join us after this quick break.
Hello viewers, welcome to today's edition of I Can Make It. Yes, you can make it. That is the voice of the champion in you that is talking. For today's edition, we are going to be looking at the mind. The mind is the battlefield. Any battle you cannot win in your mind, it will be very difficult for you to win it outside. A number of people are defeated today because right from the inside of them, they are already feeling defeated. So I can make it means that you are telling yourself that against all odds, against all the limitations that are confronting you, something is driving you from the inside and telling you that you will be able to make it. And this is the right mindset every one of us should have. God never promised us that we will have everything, you know, just like that. A number of things, you need to prepare yourself, you need to work towards it, and you need to ensure that at every stage you are getting the desired result so that you'll be able to progress to the next step. And I want you to know that that phrase, I can make it, is also talking about your self-confidence that is coming to play, that in this particular task, I refuse to be a failure. And I can assure you, once from the inside, which is your mind, which is your battlefield, you are able to see yourself making it, every hurdle coming your way will become a stepping stone into your victory. I can make it is going to make you, to start searching for knowledge. How do I get this thing done? How do I move forward from where I am? Information are all out there. You can imagine, knowledge is very powerful. Sometimes ago, long years ago before now, there was no aeroplane to travel, and people were traveling. They had to trek and trek and trek. And after a while, somebody developed the concept of aircraft. Initially, when aircraft first came, the level of knowledge at that time, they will travel for hours, for short distances. But today now, knowledge has really increased, because somewhere somebody is thinking, I can make this thing to work much more easier, much more faster. And this is the mindset of champions in life. If you can see yourself making it, I tell you, all you need: resources, helps, information, wisdom, knowledge, everything. You discover that they begin to, come across your way. Everything in life that is good, or any place that is going to give you comfort, initially it may first intimidate you. So you don't get, pissed off with that initial intimidation. What the situation is asking from you is, how can I be able to undo this without being limited? So I can make it means that you are breaking the limitation. And this is what I want every one of us, this kind of mindset, I want every one of us to develop from now. And I believe as you develop this mindset, against all odds, whatever comes your way, you will go all out to ensure that you source the right information, you take the right step, you consult with the right people, and at the end of the day, what looked impossible will become possible for you. So see you in the next edition of I Can Make It. Thank you.
Many thanks for staying with us. Aviation is not just about airlines, it's about connecting people, trade, and national growth. The aviation industry is a key driver of economic development, helping businesses and tourism. Today, our discussion centers on Nigeria's airlines, challenges, opportunities, and the path to sustainability. Taking us further in today's conversation is an aviation expert in the place of Mr. Nsikak Boniface. So, you're welcome to our studio, sir. We're excited to have you and share your wealth of knowledge. I know personally that you've been in this business for more than 10 years. 10 years. For me, the ones I could count, but I know maybe you were in this business long before that time. So you're welcome to Housing TV Studios, Mr. Nsikak Boniface.
All right. Thank you very much for having me.
You're highly welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. So today we have decided to talk about the aviation sector, which is one sector that is large, is wide, talking about growing Nigerian's economy, talking about putting Nigeria on the map. The aviation sector is one sector that can and will do that for our country. So this brings me to my first questions. Though we know there are lots of challenges facing the aviation sector, Nigeria's aviation sector has faced numerous challenges, yet we still see some progress. So what factors are driving both the struggles and the growth?
All right, that's a good question. However, before we dive into those challenges, the questions you made mention, it's important for the benefit of our audience, viewers, to understand what aviation is all about. We can't talk about challenges if we don't know what aviation is all about. Aviation generally is the production, manufacturing, maintenance, and the flying and operational of aircraft. Okay. You understand? So, with that explanation, you realize that there are a lot of professionals that made up the industry. You understand? So, having that in mind, it's important to make viewers understand that aviation is global. Global in the sense that what affects Nigeria as a country affects the other countries in West Africa and the West, talking about Europe, America, and the rest of it. And the industry is capital intensive, driven by foreign exchange. Everything is dollarized. Nothing, we don't, fuel is in naira. Sorry, we bought fuel in naira. Whatever, the production is in foreign currency. You understand? So for you to be able to run the industry, first and foremost, you must understand the intrigues. You understand? Taking into account the general regulators, because aviation it's supervised by a body called ICAO. ICAO means International Civil Aviation Organization. Their oversight covers all industry players, whether in Europe, in America, in Africa, and the rest of the world. The standard is the same. You understand? So, however, the challenge, coming to the challenges, part of the challenges we have, especially in this part of the world, is human capital development, lean resources. You understand the challenges of, because it takes a lot to train an aviator. You understand? Because basically, by the time we go deeper into what it takes, you realize that it takes almost impossible to train an aviator, especially a pilot and aircraft engineer. So those are the challenges we have in the industry, the challenges of financing, because of the lean resources where we find ourselves.
Thank you so much for that. And I love the fact that you started with, defining the aviation sector. And that's why I said the sector is large.
It is.
It's wide.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't even know that, there are particular... people just know, let me just fly. And then the pilots.
It's a big industry.
Exactly, it's a big industry.
You mentioned something, and I'd like to follow up with that before I go to the question I have for you.
Yeah.
You said that it takes a lot to train an aviator. And because I went to a federal university, and I didn't see departments. I know we had Department of Engineering, Mechanical Engineering, Civil Engineering. I didn't see anything about aviation in the curriculum of that university. I know there are like special colleges that train. So people think that being a pilot or being, by the grace of God, you've been trained and you understand what it means. So it takes a lot of finances and all of that. So it seems like it's a profession for the rich or a profession not for the ordinary Nigerian. So I come to my question now, so you could add the two and answer. What are the possible solutions we have to financing the deficits, the gaps we have in the aviation sector, so we could have more manpower coming to the sector and the sector can thrive very well?
It's okay for we to have a lot of manpower in the industry. The government have a role to play. First and foremost, thank you for the federal government with the initiative they had. If you go to federal institutions, federal colleges of aviation, like the one we have in Zaria, Nigerian College of Aviation in Zaria, the training is subsidized. The training is subsidized. It takes, they subsidize to less than 50% of the payment is subsidized, because, for instance, talking about different professionals that make up with aviation, we talk about the pilots. For instance, it takes about, in Zaria now, when I did my training in 2006, when I attended the interview, the evaluation in 2006, training a pilot for the private pilot license. So there are different categories of license in the piloting. We have the private pilot license, you have the commercial, they have the air transport licenses. Those are the three licenses, category of licenses you have in the pilot category. So it takes about 2.5 then, as at 2006 to 2009, to train a pilot to a private pilot license. Private pilot license have some leverages. You understand? There are certain things you cannot do. Private is that they cannot be hired. It cannot be paid for flying. It's just for maybe for fun flying and the rest of it. But for you to earn a living, earn salary in flying, you have to have a commercial pilot license and instrument rating. So for you to get to that level, Zaria back then was 7.5 billion naira. Between
as in 2006.
As in 2006.
7.5 million.
Yeah, as at 2006 to 2009. The last check, the survey I did is that as at 2023, it costs about 13 million naira to train a pilot to commercial level in Zaria, which is subsidized by government, and 22 million naira to train a pilot in aviation school in Ilori. You understand? So Zaria have a program where when you attend the evaluation and you meet the cutoff mark. The cutoff mark is 75%. You know, the standard is high. You know, so cutoff mark, when you pass the exam, they will reach out to your state government Yeah, they do that. They reach out to state government, they reach out to agencies to sponsor. You understand? And sometimes some of these aviation airlines too do train people, and you'll be bonded for a number of years for you to work with them.
Like a contract.
Yes, yes, they train because it's difficult for the individual to raise such an amount of money.
Of course.
So as we speak, I'm talking about the rate I gave you was as at 2003, before we have this new government, you understand, that have brought policy that have affected the exchange rate, you understand. So now it takes about, as at the last survey I did, it takes about 35 million to 50 million naira to train a pilot to a commercial pilot license.
Wow.
So governments have to come in and create this thing. The interventions too should be created on so that people should be able to leverage in, make opportunity, make a career in the aviation industry.
Okay, still talking about financing, right? I'm going to look at aviation fuel. The cost of aviation fuel in Nigeria is among the highest in Africa. What do you think can be the possible solution? What can the government do in subsidizing the aviation fuel? Because I know that this is part of the reason, yes, part of the reason why the cost of flights are on the rise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ordinary Nigerians can no longer fly. That's the truth, because the minimum wage is 70,000, and I don't think we have flights that are ranging from 70,000 naira from Abuja to Lagos, not to even talk more of Abuja to my state, Kaduna. You understand? So, and it's a worrisome situation, because before you came in, myself and Obong were discussing the security challenges that we have in this country. The roads are no longer safe for people to fly. You cannot, you need to, it takes the grace of God for you to fly Nigerian roads, and you're not, being scared that anything can actually happen to you. You get? So, how do you think the government can be able to, make the aviation fuel a bit fair for airlines to still be in business, and Nigerians can still fly again?
It's okay. That's a good question. However, let me shock you. Government has put some modalities in place to
so why
check.
Do we still have why do we still have tickets going for 150,000, 180,000, 200 return tickets, not one way? One way. What am I saying? Return tickets. One way tickets. One way ticket for that amount. So when you're doing a round trip, a return, and it's unbearable. And I know you understand what we're talking about.
I understand what you're saying. Let me educate you a little bit on the operational cost of an aircraft. For instance, a flight to Lagos, for instance, using a Boeing 737, for instance, the total cost of operating that flight, if it's full loaded, 30% of it will go into fueling of the aircraft. 30%. One. Two, what about parts? Maintenance. Everything is dollarized. Okay, you said going to Lagos is about 200,000 or 150,000. What is the exchange rate?
To a dollar.
To a dollar, 200,000. What is it to a dollar? That's about $120,000.
$120,000.
Sorry, $120. That's $120. Oh, what 20? You understand? So the average cost of operating a flight in Nigeria is about $100. That's the fee. I took a flight, a local flight in the US just last week, from DFW, Dallas Fort Worth airport to Chicago. That flight was 2 hours. Do you know how much I paid? I paid close to $200 for that flight, 2 hours. So averagely, the standard is that it takes about $100 to operate, let's say averagely a 1 hour flight. Because if you charge anything less than that, it's difficult for the airline to break even. They won't stay in business. Before now, I don't know if you are aware, the cost of aviation fuel had risen to about 1,700 per liter.
Yeah.
But thank God for Dangote refinery. We are refining the aviation fuel locally now. The price has dropped to around 1,300, 1,350, 1,004, depending on the locations.
And
where
then
you're fueling.
And then we still have this flight still being expensive.
Of course. There are other things you have to put into consideration. What about the maintenance of the this? What about the pilot salaries? What about the tariffs they pay to the to government? You understand? So by the time you put that into consideration, even with that 100,000, you make about 10% of profit from each of the flights, and that's why it's difficult for airlines to stay in business when they have challenges or incident or accidents. Do your research. It's difficult because the profit margin is up about just 10%.
Okay, so we are having
we're being charged for insurance.
We're having very good conversations.
But we're being charged for insurance because it's part of our fee.
Yeah, the insurance does not really go to airlines. Insurance go to the companies.
I know.
It doesn't go to airlines. You understand? It doesn't go to airlines. It goes to insurance companies, so that when you, God forbid, we have incident and mishap anything, they'll be able to pay certain compensation to the families.
Okay, so Memuna, you've said something very instructive now. So I have two questions for you. Number one question, I remember there's a time in the early 2000s where we used to have a lot of plane crashes. So I remember the Soliso airline and all of that. Yeah. And that's one. So you talk about that. How have we been able to improve the industry? Because I think there's been lots of improvement. You just came back from the US. I know that 2 weeks ago in the US there was a plane crash. Last month it was a plane crash. We've been hearing plane crashes in the US, but we hardly hear plane crashes in Nigeria. So kudos to the industry. So you talk about that in one way. And the other part of it is that why is it that we have so many airlines that have left business? Because I think you slightly mentioned that when Memuna talked, that it's difficult for airlines to stay in business when they face crisis. I could remember, it comes to my head now, Bellevue is no longer in business. Let's not even talk about Nigeria Airways. Concord Airlines. Yes, it's no longer in business. That's the first airline I used as a child. So why is it that they can't stay in business? Number two. Number one, I just talked about what measures have you put as professionals to make sure that we've not had plane crashes in Nigeria?
Okay, good question. You see, let me start with the measures the government has put to check air mishap. First and foremost, before now, most of infrastructure were deteriorated. Understand? They were not functioning. Now we have state-of-the-art instruments, like the instrument landing systems have been upgraded. You know, ACAO, like I said, they played a very important role in making sure that we standardize some of these our airports. You understand? Because they have ACAO send their officials to come to the airport to inspect every now and then to see what you have in place. And the airport ratings is carried out depending on what you have in place. Before now we have category A, category 1, 2, and 3 ILS. ILS is instrument landing systems. Now we can land with zero visibility. In the airports like Abuja and Lagos, you can land with zero visibility. You can land. You understand? But before now, those infrastructure, those instrumentation, those were not there. Those 8 were not there for airlines to use. That is one. 2 is the area of training. These days, NCA, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, have come up with training structures where airlines pilots are subjected to refresher courses every 6 months, twice a year. You have to go and learn about the malfunction, you understand, of the aircraft, emergencies, and how to handle. So that in the case of emergency, you know what to do. You understand? So you stay on track. But before now, some of those things were done either once in a year and all of that. Another thing is the aircraft we are using. We are using brand new aircraft. Airpiece, you know the news. Airpiece, and we are using brand new aircraft. Before now, they were just dumping. Nigeria and some of the African countries were just a dumping ground. They will go and take aircraft that have been decommissioned. You understand? In some country, take it, bring it here, and
publish it a little, do some little,
and that's it.
Remembered, yes,
and that's it. Yeah. So that was what led to those mishaps we're having in the early 2,000. You understand? Pilot proficiency, the age of the aircraft, the infrastructure, the airport infrastructure, the landing aids and all of that, were the challenges we had. You understand?
You've talked about why we've not had all of these issues happening. So the second question was about the financing. Why is it that airline can't stay in business once they have issues?
Okay, like I said, the profit margin in every airline, in every flight is 10%. It's 10%. So by the time you remove fuel, fuel will take 30% of the cost of operation. Fuel will take 30, for instance. Then the tariffs to the government, you take that. You take insurance, they pay too. You take insurance, you remove pilot parts, what it would take to. You remove it and all of that. But I can tell you, let me shock you. If you have a good management in place, it's very easy to manage an airline. For instance, that's why we have the former minister have created a forum where people can learn on how to manage the industry. Right now, I did a course in aviation management, a postgraduate diploma. I have a postgraduate diploma in aviation management in Zaria. As I'm talking to you now, you're aware, I told you, we had that chat before. I'm doing a master degree in air transport management. So the essence of these courses, this certificate, is to broaden our knowledge, you understand, on how to manage the industry. To make a good manager, it's not about just flying and all of that. There are certain do's and don'ts in order to stay afloat in the industry.
You're already looking at the business side of the industry.
Of course, yes, but that's a very good one. Yeah.
Before I allow you, it's been rumored around circles that that industry is like they pay more than every other industry in Nigeria. But maybe you talk to that. Muna, over to you.
Okay, so now let's look at regulations, which is one very key ingredient in every sector. In short, in everything that we do in our lives, regulation. And why are we talking about regulation in the aviation sector? Because we've had cases of cancelled flights. We've had cases of rescheduled flights. Those things can be very unfair.
Do you want to tell your story?
I want to tell my story. So I had a 9 o'clock flight that was scheduled for 2, later scheduled for 6. That flight left 9 p.m. No mails to that effect. I think the only mail we received was for 2 p.m. Yes, it was for 2 p.m. We received a mail for 2 p.m. that, oh, the flight has been scheduled for 2 p.m. And that mail was supposed to come before any passenger gets to the airport. That mail is supposed to come a day before my flight. So I just stay wherever I am and don't stress myself going to the airport. So imagine if that trip was a business trip. I would have missed out. So, and I'm not just the only one. We have I know you have your story. Even you have your own story. You cannot tell me that you've not had cancelled flights and rescheduled flights.
It's okay.
Right? So now that is a very big major problem in the aviation sector. And Nigerians are really, and trust me, when you go online and you see people talking about flight cancellation, the first thing they say is, we're in a lawless country that have no regulation. You know, airlines just take your money when you book your flight, and then they want to reschedule whenever they want to reschedule without even putting in consideration passengers, what they might lose if they don't make that flight at that particular time. So why do you think that is a problem? Because we need to settle that matter today. So that whenever we see everybody talking about cancellation of flights, we'll say, don't worry, the sector is working on it. So let's hear from you.
All right. First and foremost, before I speak to regulation, I want to just educate you on
that's why we're here today.
The variables.
We want
the variables involved in flight operations.
Okay.
No airline on its own will just cancel or delay a flight.
Okay.
Before each day they have a schedule. For instance, there's a regulation by this Nigerian Civil Aviation that no airline should operate if you don't have a minimum of 2 aircraft. 2, at least 2. That's to say, for you to operate, you must have 3 or more. So, and each airline designed their routes based on availability of aircraft. You understand? So, variables that could possibly change or delay flight are: 1, weather. For instance, this is period of haze, Harmattan. You understand? So when the visibility is bad, and I can tell you for free that there are certain airports that you cannot fly to when there's less visibility. Yes. So apart from Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and Enugu to an extent that have category that have good landing instrument landing systems with low visibility, no airline, no pilot, no aviator will want to risk the life of his passenger to fly into that. Weather could be an issue.
Okay.
You understand? 2, there are certain things people don't know. That when we have VIP movement, for instance, if a president and the vice president flies into some of these airports, the airport will be sterilized. They will stop movement of aircraft for the period.
I have experienced that during Buhari's era.
The president.
Yes.
And let me tell you something. For airline that have a scheduled, for instance, that was supposed to fly by 9 o'clock, they take the first flight from Abuja to Lagos, and there's movement of VIP, and they're stopped for the next 1 hour or 2. It's going to affect other scheduled flights.
But we don't have that on a daily.
Just calm down, calm down, calm down.
We don't have that
So it's going to affect that. 2, the third thing is malfunction. Aircraft is not like a car. No pilot wants to take. Like I said, you don't gamble. You take off today from Abuja, fly into Lagos. You have a malfunction, and you go through the checklist. The minimum equipment list. Okay, for this malfunction, are you supposed to fly or not? You understand? You know, is a no-no. That aircraft is grounded until the maintenance fix it. So that delay is going to affect other scheduled flights. You understand? But sometimes the problem we have is the area of communication. But there are certain things they won't tell you. You understand?
So they always put it on weather.
No, they say operational reason. Most of them they tell you due operational reason. That's the language they use mostly, but they don't want to go to the nitty-gritty of the whole thing, because you know the people have phobia for flight in the first place. So by the time you tell them the aircraft had this, God forbid, they will say, no, you don't have to tell them. So that is some of the things we have. But however, the new aviation minister have come up with incentives, penalty of some sort for airlines that intentionally
But how do you
cancel flights.
How do you know that airlines, because this comes back to regulation. If you have a very strong and good body, you know, that is good with regulation, how will you be able to detect if an airline is doing that thing intentionally for their own selfish reason, or truly there's actually a problem? The Minister of Aviation, do you think he has been able to put in strong regulations on ground for people to actually be sanctioned, for airlines to be sanctioned if these issues persist and they are not doing it, or they are doing it intentionally?
Well,
sorry to get you there. And then the most annoying part is, at the end of the day, when you decide not to fly, getting your refund is a problem.
Okay, let me start from there. You know, when you are making payments, you're not paying to an airline, you're paying to a bank.
Of course.
You understand?
Yes.
So you're paying to a bank. I don't know if you have done a franchise on either locally or internationally. Refund takes time. Refund takes time. It takes almost forever. You understand? So when you apply for a refund, it's going to take, it's the bank, not the airline. Though. It's going to take the bank quite some time. You understand? To get your money out. But the money, if you are patient, the money will still drop.
I've actually gotten
But you take time, Abi?
It took 3 months.
So it's not the airline, it's the bank.
But I am particular about regulations.
Okay, like I said.
Because a lot of people have missed out. A lot of people have had
let me tell you something. Litigation in this part of the world is very difficult. Not only in aviation, every aspect of life. You understand? It takes almost, what is the word again? I don't know how to, let me use a kind word. It takes a lot of patience. You understand? It takes a lot of patience for we to, get justice when it comes to the judiciary. You understand? So the laws are there, my sister. We have the laws, but implementing it becomes the problem. It takes time. You understand? Like I told you, the minister have put in place policies, penalties for these airlines. But how many Nigerians will be patient? You understand? So pursue that course. You understand? You will get tired now. You get frustrated in the course of pursuing the course.
I think it's time for us to take a short break, and then when we come back, the conversation still continues. Yes, we have a whole lot of questions to ask our guests today, so the conversation still continues. We'll be back after this short break.
Get credible and authentic housing news at your fingertips by downloading the Housing TV mobile app. You can also join the African International Housing Show live from across the globe through the Housing TV mobile app. The mobile app features live streaming and trending housing news. You can locate the AIHS venue via the app, network with AIHS seasoned speakers, and live chat with exhibitors. You can also order house or building materials at AIHS via this app. Download the Housing TV mobile app now from the App Store and Google Play Store. And don't forget to click on the notification button. Available for both iOS and Android users. Housing TV is also on Star Times, channel 149 decoder.
Welcome back from that short break. We're still discussing Nigerian airlines, challenges, opportunities, and the path to sustainability with our guest, Mr. Nsukan Boniface, an expert in the aviation industry. This brings me to my next question. What's the biggest risk Nigerian airlines face today? The challenge, I won't want to use the word risks, because when you use risks, risk has to do with the dangers. So I don't want to toe that line either, because we are all businessmen, So I want to use the correct register. So I want to use challenges, the bottlenecks and what have you that we face in the industry. First and foremost, it has to do with forex. It still remains forex. One, most of these are the training institutions that we have. Most of the training institutions that we have do not conduct type rating. You understand? So a type rating is you being trained in a special kind of aircraft, and it takes a lot of money to do that. Where I worked, I just came back for a training, for the training. That training was done in the Dallas-Fort Worth, in the United States. I spent 2 weeks. It's a 14-day course, and that, do you know the amount I paid? The government paid. It cost $44,000. In today's rate, that's a whole lot.
For a type in an aircraft. So, and most of these courses are done abroad because we don't have the necessary facilities, the simulators, to train locally. So thank you for the new Minister of Aviation. I will keep talking about the Minister of Aviation, Dr. Festus Keyamo. We have a simulator, a 737 simulator in Zaria, Nigerian College of Aviation in Zaria. But how many people goes there to train because of the location where the thing is situated? Most people don't go to Zaria. They prefer to go abroad to do their time rating. And that is why we came up with, I don't know if you are aware, but I've seen the news decentralizing the Nigerian College of Zaria, so that most of those equipment will be moved to a more central, safe location where pilots can go there and do their recurrent training.
That enabling environment.
So that enabling environment is very important. So when we put that in place, you understand, airlines will be able to cut costs. You understand? They will be able to cut costs when it comes to the pilot training. So those are some of the challenges they have, because everything is dollarized. Everything is dollarized. And the more we go into, another thing is spare parts. For instance, if we go into local manufacturing of the spare, thank God for some initiative in Ibom Air is building an MOR. You understand? Maintenance, repairs and overhaul. You understand? Before now, some of these airlines, when the aircraft is due for an overhaul, they will fly it to this thing, to either, depending on the company, either Boeing or the Airbus or the Embraer. Embraer have this thing in Morocco, their service center. You understand? Airbus will go to France or Germany, while the Boeing will go to US. So imagine the cost of flying an empty aircraft to US, to UK and back. My sister, how will you make profit? So those are the challenges. Those are the so like you said. So those are the challenges the industry players, the managers are facing. You understand? Those are the challenges. So you will not know what you feel like. Okay, they charge 100,000 and 200,000 and all of that. But you know what it takes to operate that flight. And let me tell you something. And some of those charges depends on the time of the year. We have peak period during Easter, Salah, and the rest of it. It's only common because most of the who are the categories of travelers? Category of travelers in Nigeria. About 30% is just for family and friends and leisure. Others are businessmen.
Yes.
You understand? So when it gets to Salah, Easter, and Christmas, those are peak periods. The airlines want to cover up for those periods. They were flying almost empty. And that's why, because of the prices is largely on demand and supply. And because the demand is higher, you understand? So the price will go up. It's just natural. You understand? So it will go up. But now you can get the flight up. Yesterday I checked, Abuja, Lagos, you can get to about 90,000. But in the December, it was almost 250,000, 300,000. So that's it. And the time of booking the flights too, the timeline, the period you booked. If you booked 2 weeks to your date, some of us it will be cheaper.
Yeah.
You understand? But by the time you book a day to your trip, by then either the flight is fully booked, or there's what is called the pricing is regulated by what is called an algorithm. You understand? It's computerized. So the more people check, the more there's demand, the more the price, the computer will keep shifting the price. So that's how it works.
Okay, so thank you so much for all this wealth of knowledge that you are sharing with us. We are really learning and getting to know, and the audience are also learning. So I'd like to ask this one. Let's talk about the welfare of people working in aviation. Do you think they are well taken care of? Do you think, because last year I saw a memo from aviation workers, they wanted to go on strike, they had started the process, there was intervention here and there. So let's talk about the welfare. You are in that industry. What's the welfare like for those working in that industry?
Well, talking about welfare, it depends on the sector. Your area of specialization. We, like I said in the introductory aspect of in the introduction, we have people that made up the industry. You have pilots, you have aircraft engineers, you have cabin executive, cabin crew or ASTs, you have flight dispatchers, and you have ground operators too. You understand? Ground handlers. So, for a pilot, as the case, like I told you, it takes about between 33 to 50 billion naira to train a pilot. I'm talking about this one. I'm talking about the general this thing for airplane. For instance, I specialize in helicopter. Helicopter is times 3 of that amount. Before coming here, I did a check on the HFS. HFS is a helicopter company you have in Enugu. You can do research on them. It takes $110,000 to train a pilot in a helicopter in Enugu. $110,000.
Close to maybe around 20 million.
For your year course. Do the math, do the conversion. So
you know that is a whole lot of money.
So they charge in their they are using an R66 Robinson 66 for their training, because some of these prices, the rate depends on the aircraft they use in training. You understand? So the bigger and more versatile aircraft is, the higher the price. Their rate, they charge $575 per hour for training. They charge $15 for ground school. $15 per hour. You understand? So accommodation, feeding, and everything. By the time you add, check their website. It amounts to about $110,000 to train. So it's times 3 of what you pay in flying an airplane, because helicopter is complex, more complex than airplane. And even the take-home pay, apart from those international airline captains and all of that, fly all those working with Emirates, Emirates, Qatar Air, and some of those big international airlines that earn as high as helicopter pilots. Helicopter pilots earn more than fixed wing. For instance, a fixed wing pilot, a captain of an airline, I know someone that, okay, let me not go into airlines, names of airlines. A captain obviously earn about 5 billion naira a month. That's the salary of a captain of an airline. A co-pilot, and the category of co-pilot, we have first officer and senior first officer. So the rating and the placement is on your flight experience. You understand? The flight experience and all of that. So for instance, a French pilot that left flying school, aviation school, would be paid maybe 1 million or less, because still have to build time, experience, and all of that. And some airlines don't even want those kind of pilots because of insurance. Because insurance requires, some insurance companies will tell the pilot that have 500 hours or less. Sorry, or more. You understand? Because the more experience the pilot is, you understand, the less the risks. You understand? So those are the challenges, the bottlenecks that the industry players face, the managers. You understand? So these are the things. So averagely, a take-home pay of a captain is 5 billion naira. A senior first officer takes between 3 million to 3.5. You understand? And a fresh graduate can take up to 1 million or 1.5, depending on the airlines. You understand? But the helicopter pilots takes more, because most of the helicopter operations are offshore. You understand? Most of the operations are offshore.
So is that why you're majoring on that, because the pay is better?
No, not really. You see, I did do my introduction. I've told you where I'm working and all of that. Okay, anyway, maybe that would not be necessary. I started my training with the airplane, because I did my evaluation. My career into aviation industry is largely driven by passion and providence, so to speak. Because when I mention this money, you think I'm from a rich family. No, that is why I added providence. The passion was there, the providence, of course, perfected it.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we're way past our time, but on a lighter note, right? On a very, very lighter note, there's something that has been bothering me, and I really want to find out why we Nigerians were always doing that. Now, when you take a domestic flight, and then you land in Lagos, for example, and the pilot or whoever is doing the announcement is, in short, before the plane lands, Nigerians are already unbuckling their belt and all of that. But when you're traveling outside Nigeria, that is where you know Nigerians can actually obey rules and regulations. So is it that it's a race thing? Is it that because you're traveling out and then you have a white pilot who is flying you, you know, you take all the rules and regulations, don't take off your belt before leaving the aircraft, you know, stay still till the aircraft, you know all those announcements. Once it comes to a domestic flight, Nigerians will not even, in short, they don't even want to hear you saying take off your belt, and people are already standing up, opening the cabinet and dragging their luggages and all. So why do you think Nigerians, because I'm saying this because the first time I flew international, I noticed it. The second time again, I noticed it. And then when I took domestic, I was like, are you sure my people are okay? Because I'm telling you, you'll see everybody is calm. Everybody will leave their roles one after the other. Everybody's working, and then you'll be wondering, are you sure these people are Nigerians? So why do you think Nigerians are guilty of that?
It's okay. You see, what you just mentioned is not limited to aviation. It happens every aspect of life. For instance, you travel abroad, you see red lights. There's no policeman. Nobody will tell you to wait. You have to wait until when it's green, you go, even without being watched. But here, that same person that conducted himself outside will, when it's in red lights, he will violate it. You know why?
Why? Because I need to find out why today.
Moral decadence, my brother. Moral compass. We've lost it.
We've lost it?
We've lost it.
And okay, we've lost it home, but when we're outside home, we pick it up back.
See, let me tell you something. Here, you know, outside, you're not from there. You understand? If you misbehave, they send you packing.
Of course. Straight up.
Straight up. So, an average Nigerian believe that, okay, I'm going outside, though. Oh, these people, camera, they here, you understand? So, I have to behave. Because if I misbehave, because there, law and order works. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you are the son of the president.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. The hammer, when you messed up, you pay.
True.
But here, there are certain category of people who feel like they're above the law. You understand? And, you know, like you said, for me, sometimes I ask questions. There's a day I landed somewhere, one of these local flights. So, me, I wouldn't even know until, so they were just disembarking people from the distance. So I just sat down. They're like, oh, okay, make a pass. I just look at him. I say, what's the rush for? Look at people queuing.
And funny enough,
can't you just be patient and queuing and all of that? And all of that. Impatience. And sometimes I don't know. There's something wrong with us here. Yeah. No. It's not about flights. See, all aspects of life.
Yes.
For instance, let me tell you something. I don't know if you've been to a buffet.
Yes, of course.
Where you have to serve yourself. You understand? An average Nigerian that is not exposed, they can go to a buffet. You see him messing.
Sure.
What's up? You understand? But someone that is exposed that understand it, your food will reach you now. You'll be enough. It's enough to go around. So why are you in a hurry? Yes. And what you're full, you're full.
So you can't eat it all.
So there's something fundamentally wrong with us. The orientation and all that, because we feel that nothing works here. You understand? Or if you get caught up with the law, you can call someone. Someone that knows someone will intervene.
Somebody that knows
and you come out of it. But there, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't work that way. So that's the challenges we have. But however, there's need for us to, any way we had to show example. There's a way you behave. People will look at you know this man is different.
Yes.
You understand? Or this lady is different. It's exposed. So people will address you based on how you
have been exposed.
Thank you. It's been an interesting conversation. We've had Ms. Ansika Boniface on the show today. You know, I asked you this, but this is off the camera. It's an industry that talked about dollar a lot. So obviously the people that work in the industry will have a lot of dollars, but that's not for that's not for the camera. Thank you so much. Okay, so that's it for today's edition of the Good Morning Africa show on Housing TV. Thank you for staying with us on the show. I am Ubong Usora.
And I am Nimona Bagudo. It was really an insightful episode of the Good Morning Africa show on Housing TV Africa. Thank you so much for watching. You can watch this episode and subsequent episode by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Housing TV Africa. You can follow us on all of our social media platforms as well at Housing TV Africa. The Housing TV Africa mobile app is on Google Play Store and Apple Store. So kindly download, get all the latest housing news that you need everywhere you go. Thank you so much for watching. Myself and Ubong had a very
I learned a lot about aviation. Things are happening there.
Are you sure we're not
that it is dollarized? A lot of things I learned.
Are you sure we're not going to switch to the aviation? I'm thinking of
we didn't even talk about what it takes to become an aviator. You don't have to be.
I know it takes a lot because you made mention of certain amount of money people had have to pay to get that wealth of experience, and trust me, the aviation sector is expensive.
We can do a GoFundMe memo.
We can do a GoFundMe. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you.